You make a small mistake. You drop something. You arrive late. You say the wrong word. And before you can even feel the embarrassment, a voice has already corrected you. The Stoics studied this voice closely. Listen to the tone it takes, the exact words it reaches for. It is sharper than anything you would ever say to a friend. And if you are honest, it does not sound entirely like you. Slow it down, and you can almost hear whose mouth it first came from. A parent, a teacher, someone who, long ago, told you what you were, and how far short you had fallen. You have been repeating the sentence ever since, in a voice you had mistaken for your own. 17 centuries ago, a man named Lucius carried a voice exactly like that. It had a face. It belonged to a man who was no longer in the room, and before long, no longer in the world. And still it judged him, every single day. Lucius was the son of a hard man, a father of severe standards who measured everything and praised almost nothing. A straight back, a clean ledger, the correct word at the correct time. These were merely expected. The smallest slip, though, the father saw at once and named. So Lucius grew up reaching for one thing he could not say out loud. Not wealth, not rank. A single unhurried word of approval. Proof just once that he was enough. He chased it the only way he had been taught. He achieved. He rose. He did the difficult thing, and then the next difficult thing. Certain that this time the bar would be cleared, and the voice would finally rest. It never rested. Each success only lifted the bar higher, exactly as the father always had. A victory bought a single quiet day, no more, and then the voice returned, asking what next, asking why not sooner, asking who he thought he was. And here is the strange part. By the time Lucius was a grown man with sons of his own, his father was years in the grave. The voice did not even pause. It graded every act as sharply as ever. A judge who had died, still passing sentence. Watch how this works, because it is happening in you too. A voice you obey is not always a memory. Sometimes it is something installed, a whole figure built inside you out of another person's judgments, and left there, still issuing verdicts long after the person himself is gone. The Jungian tradition has a name for this inner figure. It calls it the introject. You take a parent, a teacher, an authority into yourself. Not their love only, but their court, their standards, their tone, their verdicts, and the court keeps sitting inside you with no one left to appeal to. So Lucius spent his days satisfying a man who no longer existed. His work, his choices, the way he could not let himself simply rest. All of it arranged to answer a judge who would never again sit at the table. This is the quiet tragedy of the borrowed voice. You can leave home. You can bury the man. You can travel to the far edge of the world. And the judgment travels with you, because you have been carrying the judge the entire time, in your own chest. And the cruelest detail is this. The standard was never built for your good. It was not shaped to make you whole. It was the father's own fear, handed down. The same fear he had once been beaten into shape by. Because if you follow the line back far enough, you find the father was once a frightened boy himself, standing small before a voice of his own. A grandfather? Harder still. Lucius's judge had himself been judged, and had simply passed the sentence forward, the way it had always been passed. The voice is borrowed, and the one who lent it to you borrowed it too. It is a debt with no original owner, a coin worn smooth from being pressed down a long line of frightened men, each one certain the harshness was love. Knowing this did not free Lucius. That is not how it works. He understood the voice was his father's, and his father's father's, and still when he erred, the same sentence arrived in the same hard tone, on time, without mercy, because an introject does not care that you have seen through it. It is not an argument waiting to be won. It is a habit of obedience worn so deep it feels like the truth. Feels, in fact, like you. And that is the trap that keeps it alive. As long as the voice sounds like your own thought, you will defend it. You will call its cruelty honesty. You will call its impossible bar high standards. You will guard the very thing that is grinding you down. So the question Lucius finally had to face was not how do I silence it. You cannot silence it. The question was older and stranger. Whose voice is this, really? And by whose permission does it still get to judge? Here is the recognition, and it is quieter than any rebellion. The standard you keep failing was never yours. You did not weigh it and choose it. You inherited it, the way you inherited the shape of your hands, long before you had any say in the matter. And what is inherited can be examined. This is what Seneca understood. He told his friend Lucilius to choose a master, a man of high character, and to keep him always before your eyes and live as if he were watching you. Read that again, slowly. Choose. The whole power sits in that one word. If a man can choose whose gaze he lives under, then the judge already installed in him was never inevitable. He was only first, and first is not the same thing as true. So Lucius did not have to keep answering to a frightened dead man's fear for the rest of his life. He could retire that magistrate. He could appoint, in his place, a witness he would actually want to become. Patient where the old one was cruel, exact where the old one was merely cold, able to say well done and mean it. But the cost was real, and Lucius felt it land. He had to give up the one hope that had quietly organized his whole life, the hope that someday the old voice would soften and say, at last, enough. It was never going to. It had been built from the beginning to never be satisfied, and letting that hope die felt for a long while like losing his father a second time. What changed in Lucius after that was not loud. He did not win the argument. You do not get to win it. The voice still came. The next time he stumbled, in the same hard tone it had always used. But this time, for the first time, he heard it as a voice, separate from himself, with a face, with a history that had started long before him, and was never, in truth, about him at all. He did not argue with it. He did not obey it. He simply noticed it. The way you notice a draft from a door someone left open in another room, and understand, at last, that the cold was never coming from inside you. So the next time it corrects you, and it will, try only this. Do not flinch and do not fight. Pause and ask it, quietly, whose voice are you? And then do not yet answer.